Are you guys ready to vlog? Lots happened this week, and I guess maybe we should just start by showing you the most important thing that happened this week.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm probably a little close because I wanted to give you a little peek at something. I want to introduce you to somebody. Say hi, Emma. This is Emma Joy Staley. She's 7 pounds, 1 ounce, and she's a bundle of cuteness. Oh, she was just born a few hours ago. Hey, cutie. Look at all that hair. You got lots of hair.
She's awesome, isn't she? Oh, she's such a bundle of joy. Emma Joy. And so she is her name, and Emma Joy means complete joy, and that's what she is. That's what she is to us, and we love her, and we're gonna keep her, and we'll sing songs to her, and we're singing because we're singing. Sorry, I won't do that again. I'm doing okay. I've lost 52 pounds, so hallelujah for that. That's a huge amount of weight. I am down a pant size. I wouldn't say completely comfortably, but I'm down a pant size. My current pants, I'm a 60 waist, and 60s are pretty loose on me to the point where I'll tell you the story in a minute here, but I went to the hospital with a complication, and they were doing a CT scan, and the guy's like, you have to take your pants off. Why didn't they have you take your pants off? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And he's like, it's going to be really awkward, but I think I have to take them off for you because I was all like IV'd out and everything. And I was like, oh, I can do it. And I just went, and it just hit the ground. And that's with a belt that I currently have punched 4 more holes in, and I'm on the last notch of those. Technically, I should be on top of the world, but I am a little blue. Missing friends, missing companionship, and I have always kind of been more like a take care of yourself guy, kind of independent, and this has been hard because for the last 3 weeks I've really needed help. And so for the first 2 weeks of my surgery, my grandmother had come up to help me, and it was kind of rough. There were a lot of issues there and arguments and stuff like that, and it was just kind of stressful. We had a few days off, and then we had the baby. Then my mother-in-law came up, and she did nothing wrong when she was here. I think what it was just I was at the end of my rope. I did not want anybody else in my house. I didn't want anybody putting dishes back in the wrong place or doing stuff for me or any. I'm tired of it. And there was other drama going on and stuff like that in the background, and it wasn't doing good for my wife and that. And so it stressed me out that I saw my wife upset, and so it's just been a really rough couple weeks. I know my mother-in-law will see this, and I ain't mad at you. And on frustration on top of that, I can't take care of myself, and so it's like I kind of need some help. I can take care of myself, but getting things out of the refrigerator, and it's like, like trying to get things myself. I've learned the sumo squat. I can do a sumo squat and get things from the refrigerator and pick things up from the ground. But it's really tough. And for an independent guy, it's really tough to ask a bunch of people to take care of you. And so it stresses me out. But also, I'm not eating well. My diet is still puree, and it sucks. I mean, puree totally sucks. And so I should be feeling on top of the world, but I'm not. I'm dehydrated. I ended up in the hospital. I'll tell you that story now. Basically, a couple nights ago, it was actually the night we brought our baby home. I had an incredible pain right under my right pectoral area. I won't call it a breast, but from one of my incisions all the way to my back. It hurt like the dickens, and I couldn't even hardly breathe. I always had to keep my arm up when I walked. It's fine when I sat down, but basically I went in and they found that I had bruised the muscles along my rib cage by extending myself and pulling on them too much and everything when everything was all tight after the surgery. I didn't let that naturally work itself out. I kind of pushed it too hard, and so that's what that's been. So I'm down. I got the blues, but I'm not like it sucks or anything like that. And been dehydrated. Um, the dehydration comes because for you guys that don't have gastric bypass that are still watching these videos, when you have gastric bypass, of course you have a little tiny pouch for a stomach, but you can't drink out of a straw. And so, like, you know, in the hospital, they bring you water with a straw. So you go take a drink, and you get all that air from the straw first, gets in there, and then the water comes in, and it just, whoo, feels like you're busting a stitch. So you have to take little sips. And for me, I'm a guy who, oh, I'm thirsty, bust a cap open on a bottle, and just chug it down, and I'm done. I can't do that now. It's like, that's what I have to do, like with every drink. And then after like 3 or 4 of those, I have to sit down and wait for like a half hour. And so sucks. I'm just thirsty all the time, and I can't get all my water in. And yeah, CS Percussion next week. Hopefully next week I'll have a big announcement. But other than that, I reached 10,000 views in 9 months. So 10,000 views is pretty huge for me. There are people that have been doing this for a lot longer, and they're a lot more popular, and you know they didn't reach 10,000 views for quite a while. And so for a musician, for a percussionist, you know, which is very focused, to have 10,000 views, it's pretty awesome. And so I'm blessed. I'm really blessed. In fact, I had 10,100 views up right now, and it just happened last night. So I got 10,000 views. So already in a day, I've already gotten over 100 views. Typically, my average is about 150 to 200 a day at this point, and hallelujah. Music videos going in the future. Oh, I'm gonna have to talk to some people and tell them I'm sorry. I am gonna do videos, but not to the grandiose that I was hoping to do. I started looking at it, and I think I dream too big, and I don't have the capabilities of doing a choir right now. I know that people are expecting me to rant and rave and go crazy about the elections. I'm not, but I want to say this. There was a day when I believed that being a Christian meant I had to be a Republican. That I believed that the biggest things facing our country were abortion, moral issues, is what we'll call. Then I grew up. The truth of the matter is, as Christians, electing an official because he's a Republican and he is against abortion doesn't really mean anything. It would have to take a major change in the Supreme Court for that to happen, and that's not necessarily going to happen. And they know, these judges know, so unless they die off, they'll wait to see what happens. And that's what's happened. I heard people electing Bush simply because he might put another 1 or 2 justices in the Supreme Court that would overthrow Roe versus Wade. I hate abortion. I'm gonna be straight out for it. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I don't like abortion. But to ignore all the other issues at hand, the poor, the sick, to ignore them, to elect somebody into office that's really not going to be able to do anything. In fact, anytime that the Republicans have had reasonable control, it's not even been something that's been on the docket. But yet people run her. There are state legislator people, oh, I'm anti-abortion. What are you going to do about it? But people vote for him because of that. There are people in this country that cannot afford health care. There are people in this country that live under poverty because of health care. There are people that can't accept a job because they have to wait for a better job because they need health care. Because it doesn't mean anything for you to have a good job if 2 weeks into that job your kid gets sick and you now have $20,000 worth of bills. Doesn't mean anything. The elections yesterday proved one thing to me, or a couple things. Let's say a couple things. One, we're a fast food nation. What that means is that we want everything and we want it now. We want our fix now. When we're hungry, what do? We go through drive-through and we pick up a sandwich. We get that sandwich, we eat it, and we feel better, right? But meanwhile, it's killing us. So the economy, it's in the pits. I'm not mad, I'm sad. To deny people health care in what's supposedly the greatest country in the world is sickening. Well, it should be my choice to help people out. You know what? Take $100. What's it going to cost you? An extra $100? $200 out of your taxes? It's a tax return. Who cares? To help other people? Who cares? Don't sit around and call yourself a good person if you can't take care of people. So it's taken out for you. Who cares? You're helping out a child. You're helping a person be able to put food on the table. And all you've got is some higher taxes. I don't care. It's worth it. So what else did it prove to me? It proved to me that we're selfish. Every single argument against healthcare reform was selfish. I never heard one that wasn't selfish. And so to vote for that, not to vote for the person, because there's a lot of people that got hired into office that are jerks, and they're terrible people in general, but we voted for them because we didn't like something. Not because we didn't like them. It didn't matter about them. They stood for something that we didn't. They were going to fight for something that we don't like. And so that's why we voted for people. And we ignored it. So there were good people that got voted out of office or didn't get voted for office because because of what they stood for instead of who they were and what they would do for this country. Because they were against healthcare reform, or they thought that they could help us out and get us out of a recession. If you're a person that wants to ignore that, be selfish, take care of yourself, whatever, that's fine. It's fine, whatever. It's your right, right? But what I'm most upset about are the Christians that did it. I've heard time and time again, I've heard Christian leaders, they sat down with me and they were like, well, you have to understand, the moral issues are the big issues. And we have to fight for these things. So we have to vote Republican because we've got to fight for these things. You know, all the stuff that the Democrats are for, that's the things that the church should be doing. There are churches in the U.S. that help out the poor, the sick, and the hungry, but not every church does. Not enough is being done by the church. So how can I vote against people that want to help people? You're not seeing a guy who just lost or anything like that. You're seeing a guy who's sad. I'm sad because of what just happened on Tuesday and what it proves about our country.